at the ISE show in Barcelona. I'm Simon from Kit Plus, and I'm joined by my colleague Matt.
Hello, right, yeah. So we've done one live stream already earlier. This is number 2. Well, as you say, we're in the middle of a storm. We've got 8 partners. We're going to be speaking to some of the key personnel from those partners. And yeah, well, let's fire away. Let's have a chat first of all with the brains, Simon.
Well, I'm not the brains,
No,
but
okay,
we're going to bring in the brains.
Yeah.
And the brains is Evie from Dejero. Hi, Evie. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
We're good. Now we're still in the disaster. We've
Yes.
been we've had a run through earlier on. Talk us through the workflow.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you everybody watching us right now. Evie Cuervo with Dejero, and also I just want to say a quick shout out to all of our partners who also have this feed all at their booths. Brainstorm and Alpha Light, and as well as RGB Spectrum and 4A. Thank you so much for your collaboration with this. And together we came up with Storm ISE. So what happens when a crisis unfolds at any given moment? Well, usually different people, different stakeholders show up at the scene and try to figure out how to keep people safe, how to ensure that there's no more destruction unfolding. And so what we've brought to the show is an end-to-end solution. We're not just showing you one product or 2 products, we're showing you how they all work together to ensure seamless communication, whether it's with emergency response, with broadcasters, remote teams. And what we're doing is pretty outstanding. No one's ever done this, especially at a show like ISE in Barcelona, where already connectivity is so congested. We are anchoring it with a new product called Dejero Titan Command, which is an industry first as well. But I'll let someone else tell you a little bit more about that. We're so excited to be here, and stay tuned.
Yeah. Evie, thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to you later on in the show. We're here for the next 30 minutes, and like Evie, we're talking technology, we're talking about resilient connectivity. So we're going to flip over to Matt now, who's got a really exciting guest to talk to.
Yeah, hi. So, Kevin, you are the key to this, really. I think you're the guys that put it together. Kevin, what are we sitting in front of here?
So what we're sitting in front of is our first device on the Titan platform. The Titan platform is the new platform that Dejero has released. It includes multiple routers, and this is the first one. It's called Titan Command, and it's the industry's first triple 5G integrated antennas.
Okay. So, well, it begs the question: what problems does it solve?
It solves all your connectivity problems. So one of the reasons why we built this is as Dejero's technology continued to grow from broadcast into critical connectivity, our customers, whether it be public safety, state, local, federal, DoD, demanded a product that was easy to use in the field, easy to deploy, and gave them extremely resilient connectivity. So we took all their feedback and developed Titan Command. It started off when we started deploying these. Our previous generation, we ran into all sorts of installation problems, whether it's an installation in the basement or installation in kind of really tough areas that need to be set up very quickly, like a pop-up internet for a disaster, or pop-up connectivity for a disaster. So what we're able to do is take all that feedback, integrate everything into one package that takes one Ethernet line, it runs over power over Ethernet, you power it up, press the button, and you're up and running.
As far as I think what I've gathered so far is that it doesn't need external antennas. It is an antenna in its 5G state.
Yes, exactly. So it has all the antennas and also allows you to plug in through multiple Ethernet ports, different satellites. So the use of LEO satellites, whether it be Starlink, Eutelsat's OneWeb, or Project Kuiper that's coming out, any of those LEO type satellites, plug them in, instantly blend it together to create that one reliable pipe for connectivity.
And then the reliability on the backbone. So, Starlink, we mentioned OneWeb, you're giving the reliable connectivity. Everything else beyond that is down to your partners, I guess.
Exactly. So that's the great part about ISE and what the team has put together here. We're just a part of the puzzle, right? Without connectivity, it makes the other pieces pretty challenging, whether it's communicating in the field, displaying video, and sharing all the information. So we know we can't do it by ourselves. We add our part in, which is the connectivity, and hand it over to all our multiple partners to make sure that they're delivering a very, very tried, tested, and true solution to the market when you really need it, like disaster recovery and things like that.
Absolutely. No, well, it is fantastically important. There's, so many arguments. So we're going to hand back over to Simon, who's going to, they're going to talk a bit more about the workflow and the other partners and how it all fits together. Let's take a broad overview. Simon.
Thanks, Matt. So I'm joined by Eric from Dejero. Eric, we've got a wonderful looking workflow up here. Should we go through?
Yeah, absolutely. This is how the sausage is made, right? Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, absolutely. So what we have here is, as Evie mentioned, we have 3 different experiences, right? Broadcast room, command center, and crisis zone. And this layout is basically the entire structure of how it's all put together, right? So what we have here from our folks that are joining us live, we have the Kit Plus going into an NGO, which is a video transmitter, and that's going out to a multi-point. Now what's happening there is it's taking that feed and it's multiplying it a bunch of different times, so that we'll be able to send to each of these different booths. So we've got the Dejero booth, we've got the Alpha Light booth, and the Spectrum booth. When that gets distributed, that will be distributed to a Dejero waypoint, which is basically where the feeds are going to come in, and that can actually be sent out via SDI. So each of these booths will be able to decide, great, I want to have that SDI out into a switcher so that it can be into a display. For the Alpha Light booth, interestingly enough, they actually brought the waypoint into a 4A switcher into Brainstorm and then stitched a bunch of different feeds together and then put that out into a display, which is what we're seeing here. And what is powering, or at least giving connectivity to each of these waypoints, is our new Dejero Titan Command. It's a 3 5G device that Kevin mentioned, and that's basically the backbone of this entire operation here.
Thanks, Eric. So in terms of redundancy, which I guess in an emergency scenario you'd need, what have we got built in here?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, there's the three 5G SIMs. Those have carrier diversity, right? So we've got local SIMs in there. So we're not just relying on one network or not just relying on one carrier. We're relying on a bunch, right? And since we don't have that here today, unfortunately, but you could do satellite connections, right? Because we're in a conference center, I don't know if we'd be able to actually get any good connectivity from satellites. But if we were out in the field or doing emergency response, right, we would be able to add redundancy by adding as many satellite connections as we want, basically building up that connectivity, that pipeline.
Yeah. So when you were putting this workflow together, how did you best choose these partners to work with?
Oh gosh, I mean, I have to put it off to, hats off to Evie. She definitely was kind of the coordinator there. But look, we wanted to showcase, we come from a video background, right? Dejero, we focus a lot on connectivity, but our bread and butter back in the past was broadcast and live, So we wanted to show that here, but also put a kind of a spin on it for connectivity and also public safety, basically. Yeah.
In fact, anyone that needs critical connectivity wherever they are, effectively.
Yeah, and actually, that couples, well, like there's many times where broadcasters are dispatched to places that need critical connectivity. And when we actually were working with, some of these first responders, they were saying, wow, how are these broadcasters doing it, right? So they decided to use that same technology for critical communications for them.
The demo that you're showing here in this workflow, as I say, it's not a standalone product demo, is it? It's a workflow with all these partners playing a critical part.
Exactly right. We, like I mentioned, Dejero is kind of the backbone for the connectivity, as well as being able to feed all these feeds in, but all of these partners do their own thing very, very well, right? And so I think that what we have is a full suite of solutions that no matter, again, if you're from broadcast or you're in a command center or you're in public safety, you'll be able to utilize any and all of these in one way or another.
Amazing. Eric, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
And I think Matt now is with one of those key partners from RGB Spectrum, so we're going to go to Matt, who I think is talking to Scott right now.
We're back, yes. So I'm here. Well, yeah, part 2, command center. Scott from RGB Spectrum. Yes. We spoke earlier, but tell us your role in this workflow.
Yeah, so first of all, we're very excited to be part of this collaboration. to show really soup to nuts what happens during an activation of an emergency. And our role is to be able to bring all that information together within the command center so that what's happening in the field is communicated very clearly in the command center, who can then make better decisions faster and speak to the folks in the field by giving them video of the situation. So our role is to process the video and distribute the video both in the command center and outside the command center.
It's very easy to, I can't remember whether it was with you, I've said this before, but you get product. You don't see the workflow from, all the way through. And you kind of make this work, don't you? Without you, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I think with all of the types of information that are created during the workflow, starting with the field, video content, broadcast content that needs to be sent to the command center, as well as sensor information, computer data such as map information, geolocation services. All that information needs to get to the command center so that it can be presented to the team that's responding to the emergency. And all of the partners in this solution that we're showing today have pieces of that activity, from the content creation through the Dejero wireless communication capabilities that really allow the command center to have information come in from the field, even in difficult environments, and then get that information back out into the field. So it's really a great ecosystem that shows the entire workflow.
Is this quite a staff-intensive operation, or how does that actually present itself?
Well, a typical command center is scaled typically by the population, because the population often determines how many incidents happen. So a major city will have more operators, and most major metropolitan areas have 50 operators in their command center, and they're taking calls, they're dispatching services on a routine basis. But when an emergency happens, they really kick it up a notch, and more decision makers enter the room. They'll communicate the information to work groups so that different teams can tackle challenges that are associated with that emergency. And really the ability to communicate with all of those partners to make those right decisions is really important. So 50 command operators.
And so actually also in that point, you're a kind of a link between the emergency services and broadcast. You're doing the job for both sides.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that RGB Spectrum does in the command center is not just bring the information to a big display such as what's behind me, but also brings that information to the desks of each of the operators. And some small places will have a couple operators, and obviously they can get quite large, but the key thing is that every operator is getting exactly the information that they need at that time to do their jobs.
Brilliant. Well, speaking of operators and people who are in the emergency services responding, Simon, I hope, because he's behind me and I can't see, is going to be speaking with someone who can tell us more about that activity. Simon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Scott. So, while we are talking about a simulated disaster, Storm ISE here at ISE, I'm joined by Kieran, who may well be attending a real disaster. Kieran, tell us what you do.
Yes, so in my current role, I'm a sales and marketing director, but in my spare time, I was a first responder for the ambulance service as a volunteer.
Okay, so let's expand on your probably your more important role to society.
So under the role, we are dispatched to Category 1 and Category 2 calls. So in those terms, they are life-threatening and serious medical emergencies. But that can be applied whether it's in someone's home or under a weather warning, an actual storm or a major RTC. So it does cover quite a lot of different scary situations.
Cool. And tell us why, I'm assuming connectivity is important. Just go into how you operate and how you actually connect to the outside world while this disaster, if you like, is actually going on.
Absolutely. Usually in a big incident, that sort of scenario, we're relying on a number of communication devices. We have our main radio, which is linked to the control room, which can also be connected to other crews responding to the same incident. We also have a what they call a national mobilization application, an NMA device, which will auto-navigate us to the job locations. We'll receive all of the job details through that. And so in accordance with the vehicle laws, if we're responding to the job, we don't need to keep sort of fiddling around with the device. It will read out what's going on in real time whilst we're driving.
So without the connectivity, you obviously don't have the access to back up, and you're effectively in the dark, aren't you?
Absolutely. And as the first responders on scene, it's critical to how we operate. You know, it can be tricky because we respond in quite a lot of rural communities, and so a lot of wooded areas can really cause us a lot of issues with the main radio. But with the new sort of national mobilisation app, we are able to connect to the control room even if we're out of signal with the radio. So, but it is a critical part of how we respond to major incidents.
Yeah. And I guess you don't know what the infrastructure is going to be like in the actual zone. They could be out of power. There could be all manner of issues to contend with.
Yeah, exactly. So signal is the biggest problem. But yeah, with the devices, they could be out of power. You know, so we have to run rigorous checks before we actually book on call with the service and make sure everything is working before we head to a job.
And probably just recapping what you just said, what sort of uses are you using that data connection for? Is it video or audio or data?
It's mostly for data and audio. However, for crews such as the air ambulance service or paramedics, senior paramedics, they will also use video. So if we've got patients that are with serious injuries, they have access to using the video. So further crews that are off scene, so if they're at a hospital or if they're back at base, they can have a good assessment of what is going on without necessarily being there, and they can advise crews from that point.
This is a volunteer role, isn't it? Something you fit in between work and family and all the rest of it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a volunteer role. There's a lot of schemes just like us all across the UK. They all operate out of different ambulance trusts, so some might have slightly different responsibilities and some might have more. It does vary, but we are all volunteers and they're all charity-based sort of setup. So we rely on a lot of self-funding, so from fundraising events, sort of raising awareness on how to do CPR, what to do in that situation, usually running events alongside the fire service, simulating RTCs and doing fundraiser events with them. So yeah, it does take up quite a lot of time.
Yeah, amazing, and very rewarding as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we are entrusted to respond to someone in their worst time of their sort of life, and when we do get a good result out of it, it is nothing beats the feeling.
And you don't want the technology to let you down either. So talk about technology. Tell us what you do in your day job.
So I'm the Sales and Marketing Director for CJP Broadcast. We're a studio system integrator. We're involved in various different type of studio installs, from the more traditional broadcast to virtual production, building LED and green screen facilities. We're also a digitization service provider, so not just working with the new technology of today, but also digitizing broadcast archives from the 60s, 70s and 80s upwards. So we're working with the likes of the British Film Institute. We worked with them on their Heritage 2022 project with the Welsh Archive. We digitised the entire Gibraltar video archive, which was about 16,500 tapes, which, as you can imagine, is a multi-year project. And then we also work with TG4 in Ireland, and also recently completed the project for the European Gymnastics for their 40 years of entire gymnastic footage.
I'm impressed with that, but also impressed how you find the time to do the volunteering work as well. So, Kieran, thank you very much indeed. Hats off to Kieran, doing an amazing job there as a first responder, and just really giving you a real insight into how important connectivity is in a critical environment. We're going to go over to Matt, I think now, who's back with Evie.
And we're back. Yeah, hi. So we're going to look at phase 2 of this broadcast, shall we say? As a reminder, what are we doing here? Go on.
Yes, so we are doing an 8-partner live emergency simulation. This is the first time it's ever been done, and we are starting here. So this is the crisis zone. Storm ISE has landed, and infrastructure is being impacted, and certainly connectivity is not working. And so we are here. Dejero is bringing the critical connectivity through Dejero Titan Command, and we're flowing this workflow through that backbone. We're here right now in Hall 4, and then all of this data is being gathered at our next partner booth, where RGB Spectrum is there with their command center information technology. You're able to gather details, gather data in order to be able to make quick decisions that are important, especially when you consider a critical situation. You know, immediacy is so important, but it has to be very accurate.
And reliable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is in Hall 5, just a short walk away. And then, of course, hello to all of our friends at the Alpha Light and Brainstorm booth. Hello. They have the broadcast room. So this is where the news is happening. It's being broadcasted. And so you can see how the workflow goes from critical connectivity and then just branches off wherever it's needed. Super powerful.
And I've said it earlier and once before, it's very easy coming to these shows, seeing a product, and then seeing another product, and then seeing another product, not knowing how they work together. What we're proving here, in actually quite a challenging environment in itself, that you can, you know, this is the full solution from disaster to broadcast.
Absolutely, and I think that that is what we're seeing from a lot of our customers and even our partners, is that, you know, at many of these trade shows, people come in with a product, and they promise, you know, Earth, moon, stars, and then when it comes to integration, that's when the real challenges begin. So this is where you have a workflow, and all of different components are working together, flowing through the pipeline created by the Dejero Smart Planning technology, which allows for this seamless communication. But this is where you see real integration, real time, and it's happening right now at ISE.
Absolutely it is. And well, I think Simon has got one of those partners waiting in the wings. And yeah, thank you very much. Over to Simon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Evie. So I'm joined by my good friend Miguel from Brainstorm. Hello, Miguel. How are you doing?
How are you doing? How are you doing, Simon?
Very well, thank you. Now, Brainstorm are well known for graphics, and we're talking about how you're integrating into Storm ISE. Just give us an idea of what you're doing.
Well, basically, as we've seen before with all the partners, it's in emergency situations where broadcasting corporations serve as a choice for information for the public. And it's not only just delivering the information, delivering the images, you also need to prepare the whole thing and provide data to the audience. So graphics come into place to provide such data. So for us, at Brainstorm, we've been 30 years doing real-time graphics. And that means that we can ingest data, we can ingest images, and we can prepare the graphics in the templates that can be filled in with new data and be rendered in real time so people can understand what's going on depending on the information that is available at the moment.
So I was going to ask you if it's real time, and it clearly is. How are you ingesting that live data as well into the graphics?
Well, basically, you have many ways to ingest something. Basically, an internet connection can serve any data connection, any network that can plug data in different formats, so we can understand and place them in the correct place of the template, so it can render the graphics, the data, the bars, the pie charts, anything that you have available at the time, to create the new render for the new data that's coming. And this also involves not only graphic information, but also titles or maybe tickers or any highlights that we need to address the people for.
Yeah, so the graphics are pretty tightly integrated into the video workflow.
Yes, and this is something that is important to take care of, because you can't make any mistakes in these kind of situations. You need to provide reliable information and also make sure that it's accurate and up to date. So it's so tightly integrated as possible. You can use different formats to provide that information and make raw data understandable for the public.
I know your customers, do you find they're starting to ask for more automation now?
Yes, basically any improvement in terms of speediness, immediacy, error-free operation is always a request for us. So automation is important, but automation needs to be supervised. And the human touch is always there to provide the glimpse of what's the better thing to do at the moment, what's the better information, graphics, which is more important in each time. It's something that is still the human mind is very, very good for. An
So-
experience.
Yeah, do you think visualization in general is becoming more driven by data?
Data is important, and the audience is getting used to ingest more and more data. So as we have the possibility of providing lots of data in an understandable manner, which is the tricky part, and the audience likes to get that data as soon as possible, then it's a must for any broadcaster, especially in this kind of emergency situations. You can't misunderstand the importance of the data. So the more you have, the more you can get. But it's always a thing of comprehensive stuff. If you don't make the data understandable for the audience, data are useless.
And how are you dealing with common issues like latency of the video feed coming into you?
Well, for us, it's not our part, fortunately. We just receive the video and we render real time and we output that as soon as possible. So as soon as the hardware allows us for outputting and ingesting the data, we can do that.
And on your booth here at ISE, you're taking the feed that we're actually doing now and you're adding graphics, I guess?
Yes, we have a control panel designed in the Alpha Light booth, which is a huge screen, as could be a huge control panel in an emergency room or something like that. And one of the segments of that panel is what we're seeing here, both signals with all the information in there and the participants as well.
So whereabouts are Alpha Light based here? Hall?
Is for Q400.
Miguel. So we'll be chatting over the next couple of days as well, but for now, Miguel, thank you very much indeed. As I say, you can see the brainstorm effect, if you like, over on the Alpha Light booth. Until then, though, we are handing back to Matt, who I believe has got 2 seated guests, and I'll hand my mic over as well.
Yeah, we're going to give you a break from Simon and I for a moment, and we're going to go let Scott and Kevin have a chat. There we go.
Thank you.
Far away.
Hi,
All
Scott.
right. Good to see you, Kevin.
Good to see you again too. And we're going to go a little bit fireside chat this time. Last time I asked and picked your brain about the difference between fixed locations and pop-up networks. From an RGB perspective, and you've been there from what I remember about 10 years
Yeah.
or 15 years maybe?
15, yeah.
15 years. What makes RGB unique?
Well, thank you, Kevin. I think one of the things that makes RGB, and then there's several things that make RGB unique, but we are a privately held company that's been in the business of video and video distribution for nearly 40 years. Our customer base is a who's who of the Global 2000, as well as top military customers around the world. We're involved in simulation and training and have a very large footprint in public safety. And I think our focus on public safety is one of the things that makes us particularly unique.
Very cool.
How about you? Tell me a little bit about Dejero.
Well, I've been at Dejero for approaching 9 years. And I think what makes Dejero unique at its core is our algorithms. We call it SBT, a smart blending technology. But what we've been able to do over the last few years is go from reliable connectivity within broadcast and taking that core tech and moving it into other areas over the last, probably the last 7 years, we've been able to do that. And the interesting part is it's not just the hardware that we bring out, it's the software algorithms as well as kind of the overall control of the system makes us, I think, very unique in the market.
That's great. Where do you think it's going next?
That's a good question. I think the communications market has kind of flipped on its head over the last probably 5 years when it comes to how satellite and cellular really work together. Saw massive shifts as the LEO satellites constellations get brought up. And now I think going forward, the idea of a hybrid network is a lot more manageable and valuable into especially public safety in these markets, to be able to not have to rely on one connection or just cellular, be able to seamlessly blend all these different connections together in a hybrid network, I think makes it. I think that's where kind of the future goes. Along to follow up on that, so from a connectivity perspective, that's where I see it going. What about RGB in the video space, or how you guys see command and control?
Yeah, well, thank you. I think we see a lot of the demands going into the future coming from our customer base, that sources of information are becoming more mobile, and that folks who are mobile are requiring better content in order to make their local decisions that they're making, be it a first responder or someone who is managing switches in a railroad. You know, it's managing rolling stock. They're high value pieces, and you need to make sure that someone who's working on switching has the information that they need should a switch fail, that they're able to get there with the right parts and know what's going on. So being able to take information from the field and share that with other field users as well as with the command center has really been driving a lot of the connections and the source content. So that's really kind of one of the key things, but ultimately we see that the command and control is going everywhere.
Okay, I got a follow-up question for you. Throw one in there for you, but from an interoperability perspective, like you mentioned, when you said different sources, a whole bunch of stuff. I see the guys at Flock, what they're doing with being able to launch drones to have situational awareness. We're working closely with multiple organizations on ATAC and being able to have on a single pane of glass all the assets in the field and bringing in video. How important is interoperability with that? Or do you see it? Do you see that expanding, or do you see companies consolidating?
Oh, it's definitely expanding. Okay. The number of partners that we come in contact with through our end user installations has grown dramatically. We're seeing drones, as you mentioned, as another content source that's very important for operations amongst police departments and real-time crime centers. We're seeing AI come in and partnerships with AI companies who are taking the information that's coming into the system and making it more relevant, more pointed for those people who are making decisions. So again, the ecosystem is growing, and we're happy to be part of today's ecosystem where we're demonstrating what we are demonstrating and partnering with Dejero to bring wireless connectivity to the folks who are involved in command centers.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, there we go.
Thank you.
The end of day one.
Part
disaster.
2. Yeah.
The end of part 2.
Disaster's over.
Should we have another disaster tomorrow?
We'll have another disaster. We'll do it twice.
About 1 o'clock?
At 1 o'clock. Followed up by 4 o'clock if you're really, really desperate. Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed the live stream. We are live coming from the middle of the Fira. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned lots about resilient connectivity and
the whole workflow, and
the workflow,
yeah,
and the partners.
And we'll be from a new location tomorrow.
Oh,
Catch up then.
do you know where?
Yeah, Zone 2. We're in the command center.
The command center. Look forward to it. Until then, thank you.